But if you look at the UN Migrant Borders Council and the holiday they've created, World Refugee Day, that they just celebrated last week, this is where the globalists weaponize third world populations from the Middle East and bring them into Europe, from Latin America and Asia and bring them into the United States, and then organize them into internal political groups, which are then given welfare at levels even higher than U.S. Social Security recipients, $17,000 plus a year in basic benefits, to leverage out the domestic population. This is classical tyranny, classical subterfuge, over-the-top treason. Now, we've been pointing out that in the last 3 years, Obama went from very lax enforcement of illegals, including illegals that have felony backgrounds and convictions, aggravated felons, rapists, arsonists, bank robbers, you name it, and went to total catch and release about 4 years ago, and he didn't get in trouble for that. So then Obama went to the mother of all tyrannies. The illegals get into the U.S. on trains and on buses. Mexico lets them in from South America and Central America, but doesn't let them stay there. And once they get into the country, buses are waiting at every major town and city from California to Texas and all in between, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, you name it, and they bus them to Democratic Party facilities, to public schools, to Catholic churches, where they are then put on welfare and given stipends, and then part of that money is donated back to the Democrats. You cannot make this up. Now, we broke this 2 years ago. The Border Patrol called us. ICE called us. We said, wow, thank you for giving this inside info. And they said, listen, Mr. Jones, we gave this to Fox News. We gave this to the New York Times before you. None of them will report. We drove down Adon Salazar, Jakari Jackson, Kit Daniels, Joe Biggs, and met and did the interviews with the Border Patrol agents' faces blurred out and their voices scrambled. And then we went to where they said go, and there were dozens of buses 4 times a day pulling up in McAllen, Texas. It's a small town. And the emergency manager told us, oh, yeah, we bring them in. The Border Patrol gives them vouchers of money. We put them on Greyhound buses and send them to wherever they want to go. No one covered this but Fox a little bit, because the Border Patrol union head was on and said, we complete the smuggling process. We've warned people. No one will tell the public. We get threatened with our jobs if we tell you. So Jakari Jackson went down and got the report. Now, all these years later, 2 years later, this was 2 Junes ago, here is KRGV. This is so amazing. I'm not going to play the whole report here. You can see it at Infowars.com. But they report on it like it's no big deal. The UN, more Central Americans headed to the U.S. That's what Obama admitted last week. The State Department has videos that we played here admitting that they get their orders from the UN. Remember when Obama said, I'm allowed to go into Syria, I'm allowed to go into Libya because I have UN authorization and I have NATO authorization, and generals and others went before Congress, and Congress senators said, you get your authority from Congress, from us. And they go, no, we get it from NATO and the UN. Just like Merkel says she gets it from the UN. They're like, it's illegal for you to bring these people in here unvetted. She goes, well, I have the UN. I have the EU. I have NATO. We're already in this global government. So they have KRGV TV in McAllen, Texas, and they report like it's, oh, just helping the locals, helping the citizens, helping everyone. You'd never know. They say, oh, they're immigrants. Yeah, they came here illegally, but we're just helping them, and we're loving, and we get them on the buses. No discussion of where they go, what they do. It's just, oh, the UN gives the order. See, they don't announce it like Red Dawn. The UN is invading. We're under UN control, martial law. It's just Germany and these other countries are under a civil emergency, and Greece gets its presidents appointed now, and so does Italy. And, yeah, we're going to bring in 5 million people from jihad nations, and if you criticize it, we're going to arrest you. Yeah, there's no more free speech. Yeah. See, that's just, the UN says get ready for record numbers because they're running the program at the refugee centers, making a deal with Mexico to allow them in, but they don't get to stay in Mexico. They come here. Then Mexico came out last week and said, we're about to go bankrupt. We got to stop this. We got too many Latin Americans pouring in. Our border's collapsing. Oh, I'm so sorry. You're getting paid billions by the globalist to allow this to happen through U.S. taxpayer money. Mexico is paid $5 billion a year to allow this to happen. Look that up. Now, how do I communicate with the average dumbed-down American who just sees a newscast that's like, oh, we're helping people, the UN said to. Oh, the UN suing Sheriff Arpaio because he arrests illegals. How evil, he arrests illegals that commit crimes. How horrible. So we're going to go to break at home. But first, I want to play part of Jakari Jackson's report. 2 years ago, here's the article up on Infowars.com. We've reposted it. Flashback, Obama admin busing illegals deep into U.S. In 2014, Infowars broke how Obama admin was bringing in illegals via bus. And to see how controlled it is, no one picked it up. 6 months later, the New York Times, in one little blurb, admitted they come in and then Obama has them shipped to other areas and released. Here's another one. Here's the original article. June 18, 2014, caught red-handed, Border Patrol paying to ship illegals deep into the United States. Exclusive. Federal government works to keep illegals inside the U.S. while passing the cost on the American taxpayers. And now the TB is pouring in, the diseases. We've got to pay for that. But let's go out to break with a clip of Jakari talking to the emergency manager head who's admitting it all.
What happened today in particular is that the Border Patrol dropped off some, they call them detainees, but
right.
Obviously they're not detained after they drop them off.
Mm-hmm.
And normally they have tickets or arranged transportation to go somewhere in the interior. Well, today, apparently for some logistical reasons, some of them hadn't had transportation arranged, or their transportation is tomorrow.
Right.
And so we're having to find places to shelter them for tonight. So we've accessed some resources that we have. We're going to shelter them here tonight.
So why is the Border Patrol bringing them here?
They're not bringing them here. They're bringing them to our bus terminal because that's where the Border Patrol understands that they have transportation.
All right, let's stop right there. They give them vouchers, watch the whole report, and then the city gets to pay for it all, the taxpayers. Because after all, that's our job, right? We pay for everything, for everybody. We're evil and racist if we don't. We'll be back on the other side. I'm Alex Jones. See the full video at Infowars.com. Now, coming up, I'm going to play the leader of the UK Independence Party, Nigel Farage, in their victory speech on Friday after the UK voted to leave the European Union. And understand, this is on record. The UK never voted to enter it, A. B, even 10 years ago, if you talked about the EU having governmental powers, they called you a conspiracy theorist. I remember being on air 20 years ago talking about the EU on air, and they would have articles saying it didn't exist, and conspiracy theorists were talking about it. This is the magnitude of the hoaxing. Just like the Federal Reserve is federal, and don't believe the conspiracy theorist. When its charter is public, it is a private consortium of private banks. It has private shareholders. Now everyone knows that. That's admitted, even by the Federal Reserve. Once they couldn't cover it up, they went, of course we're independent. That means we're private, and you can't. I mean, I can play Alan Greenspan for you saying it on Lair NewsHour if you want. 10 years ago, want me to? Think of all the thousands of articles and headlines. The Federal Reserve is federal. Yeah, and so is, Federal Credit Union, and so is Federal Ammunition, and so is Federal Air Conditioning. Bull, bull, bull. There's the headline, yeah. The Federal Reserve mentions 12 banks are private, not government entities. That's in response to lawsuits. All right, let's just stop right there. That's from 2011. But imagine, we go down and show buses lined up, just like 12 of them at a time or more, loaded 4 times a day with illegals from all over the world. And the media's like, they're just children. We're just helping children. Then it came out 17% were children. Had nothing to do with it. It was their whole families. They're like, that's okay. Why do you hate children? Everything's a lie. Everything's a gimmick. Well, he's just helping children. No, outside of law, Obama just started saying, come here, it's free, it's open. Just like Van Rompuy, the head of the EU, did 6 years ago, and Merkel and Hollande, all the leaders of these countries transferring their power to the EU, said to a bunch of Muslim radical nations, come in, everything's free. And they showed up, 5 million of them. They just called them Syrian refugees. The vast majority aren't from Syria. They're invaders of Syria. And that's all come out too. So, here is how they propagandize us when they announce the UN's running this and the UN controls this. Oh, it's just charity. Oh, they're just here. And then we just put them on the buses and they just go somewhere. And we don't test them for TB or the bubonic plague or all these hundreds of different ailments and parasites, which they admit in the news. I've got the stacks here. 22% of refugees have TB, drug resistant. Here it is. You know, just TB cases exploding across the country. 6 new diseases that weren't even in the U.S. are now here. They just take the kids, put them in school next to your kids. Anderson High, where I went to school, has 200+ Syrian refugees, and no testing was done. That's one school in Austin. We called a bunch of schools. It's thousands in the high schools alone. My God, who knows the numbers of the adults? And they tell us not even 1,000 have come into Texas in the last year. I can call 3 or 4 high schools. It's over 1,000. We have no idea how many are being brought in from Mexico, China, Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia won't take one of these people. This is a joke to bankrupt the country. This is war against the nation. But by the time it hits KRGV television, he's a firefighter and a patriot. He's here helping good people. It's like, well, I just feel good helping people. Because they tell him, hey, they're refugees. Hey, we're helping them. Hey, they get here, we just ship them somewhere. But when you come across the border, on come the gloves. That's ABC News reporting it. Let's play a short clip of this, and then I want to get to Nigel Farage. Here it is.
The United Nations says there are more Central Americans headed to the valley where they cross the border illegally.
Now let's back up, because we did a report this week where we played the State Department UN refugee liaison at the UN saying, we get the authority to bring these people in because the UN, they run the program, just like in Europe. So see, the UN's running this. You used to, the UN's suing over a sheriff arresting an illegal for drunk driving. Oh, the UN setting up strong cities to tell our police departments how to operate. I mean, this is all really going on. Loretta Lynch, remember 3 months ago, met with the UN and announced billions in federal funding to set up UN offices in every major city to watch our police, because we've got strong cities. You think having some communist community organizer Obama running around stirring stuff up is bad? Wait till the UN's involved, and now it is, with their refugee program that the founder of the EU, the founder, has now moved down from the top position to be the head of the refugee program. Peter Sutherland. Let's finish the report. Here it is.
The United Nations says there are more Central Americans headed to the valley where they cross the border illegally.
The Channel 5's Christian Van Pricing joins us with more on conditions forcing them to flee and what humanitarian workers...
Back it up 10 seconds, please. The UN that forced them to the communism, the socialism, the UN corrupt programs that run most of these countries, the IMF, World Bank collapsing them, creating the Arab Spring. On record, the West funded that. Putting jihadis in control of countries that are our allies and stable, where Christians and Jews and Muslims lived in peace together, from Egypt to Libya to Syria, bringing them all here, and then, they're going to save us from the problem. The exact same program they're running in Europe. My gut tells me it's probably 1 million Muslim refugees. I really been looking at the numbers of all the cities. If my high school got 230 plus, and I called other high schools, they were getting 150, 270. Every high school, and then I called elementaries, they're getting them, but wouldn't say the numbers. It's on their websites at Anderson High, because they're begging for help. Who knows the true numbers? They're here illegally. They're from the EU, but the UN says it's okay, because they're fleeing something. They're fleeing the UN. Here it is.
Americans headed to the valley where they cross the border illegally.
The Channel 5's Christian Van Pricing joins us with more on conditions forcing them to flee and what humanitarian workers are seeing here at home.
The McAllen bus station. Luis Guerrero started volunteering here 2 years ago.
I'm an ex-firefighter. I always like to help people.
The people he helps.
They have advertised, come here and everything's free.
Central America, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador. families and kids. Young People Guerrero tries to inspire.
You want to
Oh, it's inspiring.
You like to carry a badge?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, just come on in. Everything's free. Oh.